Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of The Gavel, featuring attorney Ana Toledo. Ms. Toledo is the senior attorney and general counsel to Targeted Justice. She has a background in constitutional and environmental law and is an experienced litigator, including 2 cases at the U.S. Supreme Court. And here's Ms. Toledo.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode number 32 of The Gavel, a podcast dedicated to bringing you the latest and most relevant news regarding the end of government weaponization, as we are yearning for it to reclaim our lives, to have once again what we once had. So, as many of you know, I am your host, Ana Toledo, an attorney with more than 30 years experience of litigation, including civil rights and constitutional law. I am also a victim of government weaponization, and I am fighting for each and every one of you so that you can experience freedom from modern day slavery once again. A gavel, as you know, is an artifact used to call the attention about an important matter happening. And that is why I have called this podcast The Gavel. Let me see if turning on this light here works better for us. Let's see. No, there we go. I think that's better for all of us. Okay, so before we enter into the topics of this week, please like, share, and subscribe. We are the victims of, aside from government weaponization, we are the victims of censorship, of shadow banning. Please understand that one of the reasons why this program has been able to exist for so long is because they have silenced our voices. It doesn't cost you anything to share not just this stream, but also become a digital warrior and repost our content. Who knows? Who will be seeing your post? And that's why we need it here. So please like, share, and subscribe, and follow our work, because we are working for you. So prior to anything, I just want to invoke 2 Bible verses that are very relevant to this day. One comes from Luke, and it says, "An angel of the Lord appeared to them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them. And they were terrified. But the angel said to them, 'Do not be afraid. I bring you good news that will cause great joy for all the people. And then, for unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace.'" And as a person that is in the forefront of this fight against this evil, diabolical program, I can tell you that it is that Prince of Peace, the one that is leading the charge, the one that is leading these soldiers that are here saying, I am here, Lord. I'm here to do as you direct me to. And that's why I'm here in Washington, D.C., because God put it in my heart, and I know we're going to succeed in attaining freedom. So I want to start with the funny with the funny memes mocking the criminals at the FBI, because they do it onto themselves. It's not even that I look for these. They just pop in my feed, so I had to share them with you. The FG guy says, "The guys I'm monitoring love this country more than my superiors." What am I even doing? And that is so true. I'm absolutely certain that everything that they are monitoring from us, they realize these people have such boring lives and such, saintly lives in many ways. Because, what. Then there's another one, and this one I had to thank Jim, for providing this to us. And this one came in the context of yes, in the Brown University investigation that they were like kicking the snow to find the clues, to find the man that, I really believe that he's probably a CIA plant. Obama was following, he had like, I don't know, 50 followers in Twitter, and Obama was one of his followers. So we all know Obama is a CIA. He was in the, but I'll talk about that some other time. He was in the program of children that were trained by the CIA. But they just look for that. The Brown University disabled order cameras trying to benefit or protect the people that were doing the protest against Palestine protest. And what happened is that they had no clue. It was a janitor that detected who the guy was and was able to tell police. So anyway, that's how the privileged Ivy Leagues are doing. Anyways, so now going into the news, the FBI, they're just doing it to themselves, really. They continue to prove to the world that nothing has changed, that they continue to be rotten to the core. And, I am one of those people that I was very hopeful because I read from cover to cover Mr. Cash Patel's Government Gangsters. I know a lot of the quotes in that book by heart. I know that his number one recommendation to shut down the deep state was to create a church committee investigating the abuses of the intelligence community. He clearly knows about this program, but now he seems to be compromised, looking the other way. Whether it is that his girlfriend is, distracting him too much, because it's a lack of prudence. You don't use FBI planes to go to a boxing match in Vegas for personal reasons. That's just completely uh, irresponsible and makes people not respect you. He ordered a fleet of BMW X5s that are bulletproof and everything. Oh, because he doesn't want to stand out. Really? You're not going to stand out in a fleet of X5s, BMWs? Yes, you will. Anyways, and besides, the kind of those black Suburbans, they're all over Washington D.C. They don't stand out here because all of them use them. Now he will stand out with the bulletproof BMWs that have all the things. Um, thank you, Michael. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Let me turn on the Rumble channel so I can see your comments there. Please don't go away, because for some reason I'm not being able to see the Rumble comments on the on the on the stream that I'm making. So let me just try to do that 1 second, so I won't be unfair to everybody. Right? There we go. Oh, we have the Lighthouse. Merry Christmas, Mr. Lighthouse. Merry Christmas. Okay, now going back to the news of how the FBI is making such a fool of themselves. Ty Clevenger, who is an excellent attorney in Dallas, many of you may recall that he has been fighting the FBI criminals. This is the amazing attorney, and I have to give him a shout out to courageous Ty Clevenger. He's been fighting to uncover the Seth Rich digital image of his laptop that the criminals at the FBI continue to block. But this is the guy that exposed the criminal Michael Seidel and had the court. They're fighting right now the order of contempt. But he requested contempt against Michael Seidel, who was the chief of the FOIA office at the FBI. And Michael Seidel got so scared that he left the office. We don't know if they retired him. We don't know if he's pushing papers somewhere else. We don't know if he's whispering to Kash Patel's ear. We don't know what he's doing. But the truth is that he's no longer at that office. That doesn't mean that he didn't leave criminals behind, because we know for a fact that they are denying, and I'm going to go into that now, the Privacy Act requests. But what we need is to continue the pressure. So now Ty Clevenger, has exposed that the current FBI is still covering up. He says it mirrors the FBI's handling of other politically explosive cases, and exposes systemic corruption at the highest levels of federal law enforcement. This is happening right now in the Northern District of Texas. He has spent years litigating Freedom of Information Act cases related to Seth Rich. And he says that the FBI deliberately conceals records. Yeah, we know that. Lies to federal court. I personally know that, and is now openly defying a court order to produce documents related to the Rich case. He was, as I told you, the hero that ousted the criminal Michael Seidel. But Clevenger doesn't stop there. He also points the finger at Congress people that are not doing anything, that they are seeing the corruption at the FBI and they're looking the other way. Because this case is more, he says, it's more important, more significant than the Pine Bomber case, because it will likely show that the FBI has known since September 2016 that Seth, not the Russian hackers, was the one that gave the information about the DNC to WikiLeaks. Remember, that is why Julian Assange spent so many years in jails. Well, they made up charges that were bogus, that he had raped somebody, whatever. Okay, so no, they don't get paid to look away. They just look away because they are compromised. I'm not saying that they took money. Even Clevenger doesn't have evidence that they took money. It's that they are corrupt and crooked. So he says that the FBI is currently defying a court order to turn over the records, prompting a pending motion, a new motion for contempt of court. He blasted Republican lawmakers for their silence over the past 9 years, naming names. He pointed out that Thomas Massey has aggressively pursued the Epstein files but never publicly addressed the Seth Rich laptop, and Barry Ludermerk, and so many others. And also that Director Cash is not doing what he's supposed to be doing, which is keeping up his promise of accountability and transparency. That is not happening. Okay, so at least the good news is we have a patriotic, courageous attorney that is fighting them. And it seems that the Dallas Federal District Court is doing the right thing. So another scandal that happened regarding, and this I think it's a real scandal, regarding the criminality and the hiding of information by the FBI. And it's the following, and it's that one of the documents that was produced in the Epstein files clearly states, and I'm going to read, okay? DOJ, interesting email chain showing USAO had major difficulties getting an accurate accounting of the various electronic records that the FBI seized from Epstein properties. And I'm going to read the quote. The FBI is completely effing us on this. Okay? So the FBI even lies to their own bosses, which is the DOJ. DOJ is here. FBI is an agency embedded within the DOJ. Hey, just the same way that the DOJ told the FBI to allow and authorize otherwise criminal activity, and the FBI was not necessarily in agreement with that. So, you have those divergent opinions between criminals. Okay, so like nobody believes that the autistic man obsessed with My Little Pony was the actual pipe bomber. And the reason I bring that now is because the FBI's credibility in that matter is also coming into play. Steve Baker, a very responsible journalist who, allow me to remind you, was arrested and thrown in jail, and because he was a journalist covering January 6th, he was not supposed to be arrested. But the real reason we believe he was arrested is because he had uncovered a lot of stuff involving the CIA that it was an inconvenient truth. When he published his theory on who was the actual prime bomber, then a couple of days later, it was retracted by the Blaze, which is where he works, but he stands by it. And so, guess what? All of a sudden, a man that is completely healthy, absolutely no heart issues, all of a sudden, he has a serious heart condition that had to undergo a heart procedure yesterday. And even though his long term prognosis is good, the road back will be long. So I have absolutely no doubt that the CIA criminals started either using the heart attack gun on him or the directed energy weapons on him. Whatever it is, we called it out on X, and we're asking Tulsi, what are you doing? Why aren't you stopping the carnage? She just, but there is good news about Tulsi, and it is that she seems, I don't know if this is true or not, but there is a rumor going on that she is working for the pardon of Snowden, who many of you might remember is the one that squealed on the NSA and said how they listen to everyone's. You don't just have to be a target. Everyone's conversations. They are recording everything at the NSA. Well, I say not only should he be pardoned, but he should be Tulsi's right hand in exposing the abuses by the intelligence community because he has the know-how, he has the expertise. Tulsi is a soldier and she's a brave woman, but this man has the technological experience and knowledge to help her, to guide her through the swamp. So I really hope that not only he gets pardoned, but also he gets a job at the DNI, exposing the criminals. Now, this completely escaped me. Um, there was in September of 2026, there was this controversy between the FBI and ODNI because Tulsi was claiming for her organization additional counterintelligence powers that are currently at the FBI. And so there was a fight between, FBI and DNI. And so finally, the Intelligence Authorization Act for 2026 got reauthorized. And it seems that that Tulsi prevailed, that the enacted reforms enhance DNI oversight over the FBI activities. And in any given day, having Tulsi supervise the FBI, that's a good thing. The bad thing is when she's no longer there. Because, when you have a rabbit watching over the lettuce, well, that's no good. But in this particular case, it might be a good thing. And also, it might be one of the ways that she was seeing how to shut down Operation Mockingbird, which last week she denounced was still alive and kicking. So But this caught my attention because the FBI strongly opposed the proposal to give her more leeway and authority. And Mr. Kent, who is the director of the Center for Counterterrorism, National Counterterrorism Center, was the one that had sent the letter saying that the DNI should be granted more authority. So he's also not very pleased, Mr. Kent, with the investigation surrounding Charlie Kirk, which we know that FBI totally surrendered it at the Utah local people, and we just don't know. We just don't know what's going on in there. Okay. FBI letter was unsigned, but it wouldn't have left the FBI if it wasn't authorized by Mr. Patel. Now, this one is really bad. It's Barack Obama, who has earned the disrespect of so many of us, including me, because, you know, he was the maximum, a proponent, and he put on steroids the Brain Initiative. Well, Miss Blondie here, she has enough evidence to put this guy behind bars. Okay, let me just play this for you. And why does this matter? It matters because it's the CIA, illegal CIA operating in our nation and affecting and interfering with election. And anything that exposes their criminality is good for us, because what we need is to shut down these criminals operating from the Denver headquarters. Okay, so just let me just play this one for
The
you.
Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, releasing a bombshell report today that shows a conspiracy by a sitting president, Barack Obama, and his intel agencies to sabotage the president-elect, Donald Trump, brainwash the electorate, and undermine the legitimacy of an election.
There is irrefutable evidence that detail how President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of an intelligence community assessment that they knew was false. They knew it would promote this contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help President Trump win, selling it to the American people as though it were true. It wasn't.
Gabbard got her hands on a House intel report that's been locked away in a CIA vault for almost a decade. Investigators spent over 2,000 hours looking into how the Russia hoax was born, interviewing 20 CIA and FBI officials. And it turns out that the Obama administration doctored the intelligence to make it look like Putin and Trump stole the election.
If that's not a criminal, I don't know what is. And that's not all, because John Solomon also has a great, let me just play it for you. So, you know, what we want is to expose, like Stephen Miller said it, the illegal agency that is illegally operating. Wait a minute, Stephen. If they are illegally operating in America, why are you still allowing it to operate it? Because you are, you have the power to tell Tulsi, take care of shutting these criminals down. Let me show you what John Solomon exposed, which he's the reporter from Just the News. And this is equally an equal scandal. Okay.
I'm an intelligence agent, now retired, very senior. He looked me in the eye and said, the truth of the matter is, we took the playbook for psychological operations and information warfare that we would use against our enemies, and we turned it against the American people to undo the 2016 election and to make sure they didn't elect Donald Trump in 2020. Now, that is a senior intelligence officer with more than 30 years of experience, a patriot who served in some of the most dangerous parts of the world, and he understood that the tactics of making something fake look real were ripped right out of our intelligence communities. Our intelligence agencies not only harmed Donald Trump, they were harming the American public, the national security interests of
the American public. There you have it. harming the national security interest of the American public. So, as long as the CIA criminals continue to be exposed, it's a win, because eventually it's going to trickle down to what they do to us. Moreover, you have to be, when the session starts again in January, Ana Lagana is going to be on top of the Boasberg impeachment hearings, because that is the man that is responsible for most of the authorization and renewals. He presided the FISA court during the time that Kash Patel said there were 278,000 FISA warrants approved on Americans, Section 702. We're going to be watching very closely and exposing him for what he is. Now, let's go for, the House Intelligence Committee, the subcommittee president chairman Rick Crawford is renewing the criticism of the intelligence community assessment regarding Havana syndrome. However, I think he's a little misled, and that's where we come in to illustrate him. And that's part of so those of you that are constituents of Rick Crawford, please write to him. Try to get me an appointment. If not, I'm going to go through other means. But it would be really good that you take empowerment and that you do it for yourself too. Do not make it about yourself. Make it about the hundreds of thousands of victims in the United States. Well, he says that he's criticizing the intelligence community assessment that concluded that a foreign adversary was not responsible for injuries suffered by hundreds of U.S. personnel in Havana syndrome cases. Notice it's hundreds, because it's the ones that are happening also in the United States as well as abroad. Calling on the Trump administration to re-examine the findings, and that's where we come in. And that is where we need to create the awareness that I'll mention right now. As many of you know, the January 20th, there has been the pre-publication of Dr. Len Baer's on targeted justice civilian registry. Dr. Len Baer added some of the people that contacted him, not the ones that contacted me, okay? I told you that very clearly. But we have increased the numbers in terms of the amount of people that, even though he doesn't have evidence, there's the amount of people that are diagnosed in the United States. And this is important because we are demanding from the National Institutes of Health that they recognize Havana syndrome as a problem that not only affects federal employees, because what that does is discriminate against civilians. And there is no reason for the NIH to discriminate. So Mr. Crawford said, I stand by my original statements from last year that the 2023 ICA was developed in a manner inconsistent with analytic integrity standards. That is correct. And I strongly encourage my colleagues in the executive branch and the IC to reassess the ICA. That is great news for us. Like I told you, one of the reasons why the moment for me to be here is precisely because the two topics that are in everybody's mouth is illegal surveillance and abuse of the surveillance powers by the FBI criminals and Jack Smith and all of those, and Havana syndrome. So this is a great time for us to be in this fight. Now, we are knocking on NIH door, as you know, and CDC, and also in people in Congress when they get back. That should be on or around January 6th. Now, I just wanted to mention in passing, because I talked about this last week, and it's that Rob Reiner's son, you know how I said he must have been a CIA asset because he was doing those little videos with Brennan, and it was was it Comey and Brennan? Yeah. Well, it turns out that Reiner's son was hearing voices too. I have no doubt that he had V2K. And here's the thing. A lot of people that collaborate with these criminals, whether it be gang stalking, or let's say that Rob Reiner was a CIA asset. Once you cross the line and you work for the other side, you belong to them. So they have no qualms in killing people that collaborate with them. And that's why you just don't play, you just don't make friends with the devil, because it's going to come and bite you back. Anyways, I wanted to mention this because this is really, really sad for me. And I know that today is the day that we have to talk about happiness, but I really want to ask that you keep Scott Adams in your prayers. And Scott Adams, many of you know who he is. He has been an amazing influence in my life since I knew him in 2016. And he has a turbo cancer because he made the bad decision of taking the jab twice because he believed the science, right? And but that's not, he's a TI and he doesn't know it. He has no clue. I sent him a handwritten letter, which I don't know if he ever got. But I'm going to show you something because I think that Christy Noam should be so ashamed of herself. And let me just show you this. I really think she should be really ashamed.
So I'm having this misery kind of situation where for another half hour, the nurse on duty is a man who hears the opposite of everything I say. I don't know why. But if I say, could you bring me an apple? He will say, well, I would never ask for an apple, but if I did, he would say, uh, okay, I won't bring you an apple. And then I would say, no, please bring me an apple. And then he would say, oh, okay, no apple. No, listen to me. Anyway, so that's how my last 8 hours has been. I can't quite get him to understand what I'm saying.
What Scott doesn't understand is that he's targeted. He had people show up in his house with suitcases saying, this was a couple of years ago. I came in to move. Well, yeah, we've had conversations, conversations. We had conversation. You told me to come in here and move with you. So he doesn't realize he's being gang stalked. And shame on you, Christy Noam, for not having shut down the targeting, the intelligence office within DHS that targets and funds the fusion centers and gives instructions to people to make other people's lives miserable. Shame on you. Please pray for Scott because he's a wonderful person that has done a lot of good things for a lot of people. And he has a metastasized cancer thanks to the biological weapons promulgated by Anthony Fauci, who Pam Blondie has not prosecuted or made any attempt to prosecute, nor will she ever, because she was an attorney for Pfizer. But that's material for another gal. Anyway, I want to give you some updates, which is Privacy Act requests. We have the form, okay, in the website. Go to targetedjustice.com/legal/privacy act. You're going to see it there. Now, I heard that some people are saying, I'm not going to send it because they're going to say no. No, you're going to send it because this time around, Chuck Grassley exposed the prohibited access and the restricted access. And we put in that Privacy Act request language that says, you're not going to just look in the central record system. No, you are going to look in the entire agency files like the Privacy Act 5 U.S. Code 552A says. You cannot make up where you decide to look, number one. Number two, Even if you made a stupid little illegal regulation saying, now the Privacy Act request, we're only going to look here. That's illegal on the Loper Bright Enterprises versus Raimondo. And we will take it to court and we will win. If you want to have your nomination form and the pictures of you and the recordings of you and everything that they have done on you and the documents they have stolen from you, you file your Privacy Act. Let's act together on this and send it with tracking number from the post office, because the e-form online, what the criminals do, number one, they tell you, oh no, you're out of characters. That's not true, because I reduced it and it still says you're out of characters. They will block it because they are scared out of their minds, because those 5,000 agents that were the same ones that destroyed and obliterated the lives of the J6ers, those 5,000 that are in the threat screening center, those criminals are scared for their lives. And we are going to expose all the files. Each and every one of you has a right to see any file on you, except for what the statute says. In the Privacy Act, it's not like FOIA. In FOIA, they have like 10 exemptions, national security, blah, blah, blah. No. In the Privacy Act, it's only if you are in the middle of a criminal investigation and they have to certify it, or it's documents that are being prepared for litigation against you, which is not going to happen. So they cannot come and invoke, and let them invoke them, because we're going to fight them on it, okay? So please do not relinquish this right. This is a massive effort. We need to corner these people, okay? And in closing, reminder, next week, I'm going to have a countdown show. On the 31st of December, I will have a countdown of the 10 most important events of the year. So please don't miss it, because I'm going to prepare it with a lot of love. And number two, Melissa's not going to be on Sunday. She's taking a break until January. And the criminals turned off my light. It's okay. And last, I wanted you to know what an extraordinary effort I make to be here. I know, and the reason I do it is because I know that, like me, many of you are lonely tonight and you don't have your families, just like I don't have mine. And I just want you to know, I am not going to stop fighting for each and every one of you until we are all free and we can have a new life. So I really I want you to know that you're not alone. We are in different places, but we are in our hearts. We're together, and that's what keeps us strong and keeps us going. Okay, so thank you so much for making time to be here with me today. It's very important for me that you were here with me today, and I look forward to having you next week. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to celebrate the new year. Okay, so I hope you have a very Merry Christmas for those of you that do celebrate it, and a peaceful night. Thank you all.